Welcome, welcome. This is My Favorite Mortgage Podcast. I'm Jaimie Booth, a licensed loan officer in Arizona and Texas, and you're listening to My Favorite Mortgage Podcast. It's a newer podcast that lets buyers and sellers behind the curtain of everything home buying and selling. Sorry. We like to bring on professionals to share some insights, share some stories, have a little fun. And today we have a returning guest. I think you've been on our podcast more than anyone at this point. Oh. We have Mike Kingma. Thank you.
Thank you. This is an honor. Third time's a charm, right?
There you go.
That's what we're here for.
Friday before the weekend, and do you have any plans for the weekend?
Ooh, this weekend, we've got a few plans put together, but man, the real estate market's just been booming right now, so my weekends have now they've been full.
Good.
Which has been awesome, super awesome, and I love it.
I have back-to-back open houses.
Good for you.
On Saturday.
Okay.
We're going to do one, and then I got to go a couple miles down the street and do a second one.
That's not bad.
It definitely has some momentum. I'm feeling it. The interest rates have helped.
Yes.
Yes. But before we dive into that, are you ready to play some games or dad jokes?
And may the odds be forever in our favor.
There we
We're
go.
here for it.
All right, I have a joke.
Okay.
Why are Saturdays and Sundays the strongest days?
Why is that?
Because the rest are weekdays.
That's a good one.
You got one?
I do.
Okay.
So I'm sure you probably read the paper this morning. You heard about the cow that was in a lot of pain, right?
No, I didn't see that one.
No, he was probably milking it.
I started a dating app for chickens, but it's not my day job. It's just how I help make hens meet.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. Also, you probably read on Apple News, big article that just came out, a Nobel Peace Prize just came out, was awarded to a scarecrow. He was outstanding in his field.
I've heard a different version, but that's a good one.
It's a little more elaborate.
And so what if I don't know what Armageddon means? It's not the end of the world.
Ding!
You started early before we even started recording, so I blame you.
That's fine. That's fine. I think I already used up all my ammunition for today.
That's okay. I don't know about you, but in my household, football season is way underway. So last night, of course, Thursday night football's on. Sunday, it's, breakfast till dinner. But I saw a video, and it's a quiz.
Okay.
Are you a football fan?
I am.
Okay. Think of the NFL football teams. There is one team that is named after something that isn't real or didn't exist. What team is that? Do you know this one? God. Whoever knows it, shout it out.
Seriously, I name something that's not real?
Yeah.
I mean, the only thing I could think of would be a Titan, like the Tennessee Titans. I mean, that's lore. That's lore.
Right, but it exists.
Fair. Okay.
It's a thing, or it. That's something that isn't real.
Something that isn't real.
And I may be saying this wrong.
Who knows? I mean,
there's giants and. Okay, maybe not like real, but a thing. Something that isn't a thing. Like Buccaneers are a thing.
Yeah, Buccaneers are a thing.
Seahawks and Cardinals.
Steelers?
No, those are
real.
Those are real people.
Yeah. Hey, people in Pittsburgh, they are real. Okay.
Packers, they actually were meat packers. Think about the NFL team and tell me when you give up.
Going across the
I know.
We're
like Dolphins, they're real.
They are. Although the Seahawks beat them, and it was glorified animal abuse on that one. I'm very sorry.
See?
I'm sorry. Not.
He's a transplant, guys. Don't hate on him.
Browns?
Please still love
You
it.
got it.
You what?
My last name.
No way.
Browns.
The Browns.
Yeah, well, like, what's a brown? Like, it's a color. So
That's true.
good job, Joe.
Well
Yeah.
done. Hey,
And it is his last name,
Joe
so
Brown.
yeah, the Browns.
there you go.
So
I
good
like
job. Oh, we're having some technical.
You know, I think this box idea might be a little rough.
You know what? It's
You know
okay. We can take it.
Yeah,
we can
let's.
take it.
Let's.
We'll start over from.
Oh, happy Friday.
Happy Friday, guys. Oh my gosh. All right, so we did our jokes. Had a little fun on football, but yeah, good job. It was the Browns.
That's incredible. So the Browns of all teams, they're the ones that aren't real.
Yeah.
All right.
At least that's what this video said.
Yeah. I mean, that's
like if you went like 49ers, they were a thing. And
yeah. They were mining gold. I mean,
Yeah.
that was a 49er. Yeah.
So
that makes a lot of sense.
and then we did, Titans and Giants. Maybe they don't exist, but they were a
Part
thing.
of lore. Yeah. Like some sort of, mythical lore of some point.
Like Seahawks or something.
I mean, let's be honest. If it's a screech everywhere we go. I mean, oh, it's a bird. No, that's a Seahawk. What's a Seahawk exactly? I always get made fun of all the time.
Yeah, what is a Seahawk exactly?
So a Seahawk,
I'm gonna have to Google it.
That's fair. So a Seahawk is a type of bird that's part of like the hawk family, where like they catch fish in the water. So it's like an osprey. It's like an osprey.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
They're super cool birds if you see them out in
It
the
is an
wild.
osprey.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's cool. Those
Yeah.
are actually really pretty.
They are.
And when you watch them fish, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, especially on the lakes out there. It's just so much fun to watch.
Well, let's dive into our episode. And I wanted to touch on you with something because my husband and I are in the process of building a pool.
Oh, cool.
Yes.
All right.
It's been a very long process, not the easiest. And months and months, permits and measuring and moving rock and stuff. And so it got to me thinking about what does adding stuff on, adding upgrades, doing things to a home that is going to have the biggest impact in sale price. And I know pools aren't going to be $1 for $1.
No.
I understand that.
No.
And I'm not doing it for resale value because I'm going to live in this house forever.
Yeah.
But I can't stand another summer without a pool.
No.
So pool, you're not going to get the same value for what you put in.
No.
What are a few other examples of upgrades that are not going to get you $1 for $1?
Totally subjective is, well, one, I have a pool, and it's one of those things that we just built the pool for. Technically, we built the dog, or it's for our dogs, is what we built the pool for, because they love to swim, and I mean so do we. But it's just like one of those things where we thought, hey, let's just do it because everybody wants to swim. As far as like upgrades wise that you don't get $1 for $1 for, solar panels, but they have to be owned, not leased.
You get
Leasing,
no value.
Nothing. Zero.
For having solar.
Correct. Now, I'm completely on going green. So in our home, we are doing solar. I know for a realtor doing solar, you think, why are you doing this? This is insane. Traitor! But I'm actually looking at it from two sides of the coin.
Okay.
We're here in Arizona. There's over 300 days of sunshine.
Right.
So why not take advantage of it and put that to good use and actually get, lower rates on your electric bill, things like that. And then also another controversial thing, I added a battery to my house because I'm playing the system is what I'm doing.
Well, enlighten me. What does that mean?
So what it is that because we live in the city with Tucson Electric Power, I use time of use. So there's off-peak use,
Yes.
and then there's on-peak use.
Heard of it.
So the cool thing is that by using a battery, I'm using a Tesla Powerwall 3 for mine, which automatically figures out when it's on peak So it just pulls from the battery, so I don't pull from the grid. So I don't have to pay the outrageous per kilowatt price from Tucson Electric Power. I'm just pulling it from mine because the solar is going to generate the battery.
Okay.
And then as soon as on peak starts, it's not pulling anything from the grid. It's pulling right from the battery. Anything in excess gets sent back to the grid during that time.
Interesting.
So it's kind of a fun little manipulation way of doing it. So
you had to buy one of the Tesla or electric car batteries separately.
So yeah, this would be like when a solar person comes over to your house, they'll tell you, hey, it's probably a good idea to do a battery.
Even if you have no solicitation signs.
Yes, even if you don't, it's one of those things. But for me, as a realtor, and for someone that sees this come up in multiple listings and everything that's with it, it makes sense because people want to have a system that makes sense. But if it's a lease system, that's where it just gets ugly.
So you did a loan.
Yes.
Okay, so you own the solar panels, well, until the loan is paid off.
Correct.
Not a lease.
Correct.
And then on the lending side, we look at solar as leases being far easier than loans.
Correct.
To assume, because when you're assuming if you go to sell and you have the solar on there, you have signed a contract that the solar panels stay on the home for 20 years, 25, 30. What is yours?
So
It's a 30?
So mine is a 20-year.
Okay.
But this is going to be my one piece of advice that I can tell
Okay.
everybody that's on this. Be careful with who you use for solar panels. Be very, very careful. And the reason why is that I had a listing where they had solar panels on the roof. There was about 33 solar panels that were on the roof. I mean, this thing was covered. Just
Leased or loaned?
This was a loan.
Okay.
However, when we put the house on the market and we asked for the UCC, that was for it, how much the loan balance was, $64,000 for solar panels. That's robbery. That's borderline criminal because here's why. They were charging my client $2,000 per panel to have these installed. And then this is the worst part. So now he needs to sell his house. He needs to move on. In the contract with the finance company, he has to pay off 30% of the balance out of pocket. He cannot use the equity in his home to pay it off. Correct. So this is why I'm saying is that be very, very careful with who you use as far as getting solar. I always say shop around, or if you have worked with your realtor that's got solar panels like myself, I've shopped around. I've done whatever I needed to do because my old house, we had solar panels. So the transferability process was super easy.
Well, that's
there was
good.
no
I've
issues.
dealt with nightmares on transferring solar ownership by assuming a loan.
Yeah.
Leases are far easier.
Yes, they are
The
easier.
loan part is a completely separate bank and their underwriting, and it's either a pass or fail.
Yeah.
There is no, all right, let me go try a different bank. It's that bank.
Yeah.
And I had a client that we approved them for a mortgage, but could not get approved for the solar, and they had to do a different deal to get this done because yes, sometimes it doesn't make sense that you can buy a whole house and get a home loan, but you can't get solar, and it's frustrating because it's a bank, and if they want a 680 score, then that's what you have to have, and it's pass or fail.
Yeah.
And if I can get you a loan at 580 and you can't get the solar, we may not have a deal.
Yeah. You're toast at that
Yeah.
point. Yeah.
Solar.
So I know. So it's a love-hate relationship, but for us, it's worked out immensely. But for us,
I think you did your due diligence, and
Yes.
these guys that come to the house, I know you're doing your job, but you guys have they're good salesmen,
yes,
and it makes it sound wonderful. And I don't see that part. I don't ever get a phone call like, hey, this guy wants to sell me solar. What do you advise? I only see that when we're in the loan process.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this was a horrible deal for you.
Yeah. I mean, that's really the big thing is that you really need to do your homework, and I'm advising everybody to do it. Talk to your realtor And if
You
you're
guys
going,
have the experience.
because we've had the experience of going through this, and for a realtor such as myself using solar, I'm kind of that middle ground where it's like, hey, I know what to look out for and I know what to avoid, and it's so important to be able to share that with everybody across the board that's with it.
So just be careful, guys, especially when it sounds too good to be true.
Yes.
Because it is going to be a lien on your property that when you sell must be addressed with the incoming owner.
Yes.
What do you think of landscaping? Does that add value?
So landscaping, if you're selling the home,
Yes.
does help. Now, if you're doing it for personal, like if you're doing pavers or you're doing turf, just little things like that, or if you're adding like an outdoor kitchen, or if you're doing a pergola, or just something to kind of spruce up that backyard, that does add value, but it's not going to be, again, it's not going to be dollar for dollar, and it's very subjective when it comes time to sell, because somebody may have a completely different idea of what they want to do with that backyard versus what you thought. And so that's where you kind of remove that personal to business kind of thing. And that's where it's just like the personal touches can sometimes be a hindrance. So,
What about kitchen upgrades?
So I like kitchen upgrades. And right now, this is probably the best time to do upgrades is during this cycle that we're in right now, because we actually just started doing this ourselves. So what we did is we have a builder grade kitchen. When we bought our house, it's a builder spec home built in 2023. So it's basically everyone's house is going to look exactly the same.
Right.
Set yourself up apart and get rid of those those handles, like the hardware, and change it up. Make it what you want. Don't make it what the builder wants. Cabinet jewelry. I know it sparkles. We swapped over our we had brushed nickel and we did champagne bronze.
Oh, I have brushed nickel. I'm going to copy that.
It is super, super nice. And we have white cabinets too. So
Yeah, me
that really,
too.
so that pops out.
What champagne?
Champagne bronze.
Champagne. Is it almost like a
Or I'm
pink
sorry,
hue?
champagne gold. Sorry, champagne gold. So it's almost like it almost looks like a rosy gold.
Yeah.
Almost. Yeah. So it just looks really nice.
What about black?
So black, and again,
On white cabinet.
black on white looks good.
Yeah.
You can definitely do like the flooring. That'll help out too.
Yeah. I actually have that down. What do you think of updating flooring?
So flooring is incredibly important. Again, everyone's tastes are going to be different, but if you want to show your house, if you're ready to sell your house, you want to make sure that you put in a material that's going to make sense. And I'm going to tell you right now, the biggest pain in the butt in the world when it comes to doing any sort of flooring is tile. Because tile is extremely hard to be able to remove, because you have to remove all of your items from the house. There's dust. There's everything that just flies around. So you have to get rid of all that, clear up the work site, and then you can do with what you want at that point.
This podcast ran a little long, so stay tuned next week for the conclusion with our guest, Mike Kingma. Thank you so much for listening. If you haven't yet, give us a follow and feel free to share this podcast with a friend. We'll see you next week.